Good evening, everyone. I will now call this May 18, 2017 meeting of the North Andover School Committee to order. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I invite everyone to stand and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Just as a reminder, we're being recorded tonight, and if you have a mobile device, please silence it now. Okay, first order of business is public comment. Anyone in the audience for public comment this morning? This evening? Sorry. No, we'll get to you in a second.
No, she has a name tag. We were excited.
Oh, Courtney, look at that, huh? Good. Obviously, we didn't make one for Cole either, so.
No, we didn't.
Okay. All right. The first order of business is the appointment and swearing in of the school building committee members. So our first order of business, as people are aware, town meeting on Tuesday approved the town manager's recommendation for the capital improvement projects, and one of those projects was the building of a new kindergarten complex, which we're very excited about. We've all put a lot of time and effort into that. So I want to thank first the voters of North Andover and town meeting for coming out and supporting that endeavor. It's going to do a lot to reduce class size across the district. The school building committee is appointed after town meeting has approved such project. So, and the makeup of that committee is 3 members that are appointed by this body, the school committee, and 4 members appointed by the town moderator. So the first order of business we'll do tonight is to appoint our members of the school building committee. So I'd invite first Christina and Todd maybe to come to the podium. And I would, you can sit down if you want. You don't need to, it's not that formal. First, is there a motion?
I move that the committee vote to appoint Todd McCabe, Christina Minicucci, and David Trizzi to the school building committee in accordance with policy FB.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion from the members? I want to say some nice things about Todd and Christina.
I know them both very well, and I think they're fabulous additions, and I'm so excited to have you guys accept.
Thankful that you're willing to step forward. Appreciate it.
Well, I know I can speak to both Todd and Christina's qualifications and their commitment to the town. So I'm very happy they are accepting this appointment. So with that, I would, any further discussion? Nope. No. Okay. Motion, seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, 4-0 vote. Congratulations. Welcome aboard. Okay. All right, so our next order of business is to officially swear in the entire committee. So first I would ask the town moderator, Mark DeSalvo, to come forward and maybe announce his appointments as well. Why don't you let him get a microphone near him?
That's all right. Thank you both. Allow me first to congratulate the superintendent and the school committee for really the extraordinary job that they did in preparing the community for the vote for which we're going to have the effort to do this work, this committee. So I'm really, really pleased for you. And I'd like to take a personal courtesy and extend my appreciation to Jim Mealy for his assistance, most particularly, and the custodial staff and others around organizing town meeting. It was, you were really Johnny on the spot and helped make the trains run on time. And I truly appreciate it. And our community's better for the privilege of your work and effort. Thank you. As to the school building committee, I'm particularly delighted to reappoint 3 members who have served for some time on the school building committee and helped us with our project across the street here at the Kittredge School. They are Maureen Sakakini, Tom Zarico, and not here today, Eva Hammerai, all 3 of which with significant skills and experiences in the construction space. Jay Burke is cycling off of the committee, and I appreciate Jay and the perspective that he brought as a longtime community member and developer and builder and business person in our community. And I'm doubly pleased to introduce Kathleen Caldwell, who will be joining the school building committee. Kathleen has a stellar bit of experience as an environmental attorney town planner in the town of City of Methuen, was the town planner here in North Andover. And I'm delighted that she acquiesced to my extending her arm a little bit to join us. So with that, I think it's Joyce Bradshaw's
Yep.
show.
I'd like to invite our town clerk and thank the town clerk for taking time out of her busy schedule to come in here and officially swearing the school building committee. So, Madam Clerk.
My pleasure, as I am the nana of now 2.5-year-olds, probably going to the first class into that building.
Yeah. Will you swear in everyone at the same time, or do you do it individually first?
Whatever you think.
No,
Whatever you would
listen,
prefer.
I'll defer to
What
the
would-
expertise.
What would the members prefer? All together? You're going to be working together.
Remember to say your own names, and you get the pleasure of signing the book.
We need to stand up and like raise our hands and all.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Come on up.
Come on out. As I said, it's an honor and a privilege to have wonderful people serve our town. And as I said, you gotta do a good job because the
And we gotta get a photo. We gotta get a photo for.
No, they can swear it. That's okay. Just,
All you
raise
can
their
still be
hand.
swearing at each other much later.
All right, if all of you would raise your right hand and repeat after me,
I, David
state your
Tursi.
name,
David Tursi.
solemnly promise
Solemnly promise
and affirm
and affirm
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and sincerely, and impartially perform all the duties
perform all the duties
that are incumbent upon me
that are incumbent upon me
as a member
as a member
of the North Andover
of the North Andover
School Building Committee.
School Building Committee.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if you all want to just come here and just sign the book, wherever, right next to any F.
Do I have to put my signature or my printed name? It's not the same.
You can do both.
Very exciting. And as you guys are signing in, I'd like you to meet Mary Lou Connors, who's the director of the ECC, and she was here just to welcome you to the ECC family. It's a crazy but fun family.
And it's scheduled to open 2018?
August 2018. I'm going for August 15th, Mr. Gilligan. You heard it here. I know you.
Although we did in high school, they hadn't finished the auditorium.
Did you say
Really?
your name?
We moved in on a fundraiser.
Oh, I apologize.
When they opened it in 12 they had kids literally carrying desks and stuff. That's kind of fun. Over to the new one, and then they knocked it down.
That's right.
Just a reminder, we're still live.
Okay. All right, so we can all go. One second. Yes.
So, that was very exciting.
No, that was very exciting.
No, it's good. It's good. That's a long time coming because we've been working on this project for several months and we've already taken a lot of steps. So one thing I did pass out to the members is could you please put your name, your email, and good times to meet because we have a lot to do. Our goal is to have this, not our goal, it's not a goal. We will have this building completed by August of 2018. So we have a really aggressive schedule, but a lot of people up here, Jen and Jim specifically, have done a lot, and Mary Lou as well, have done a lot of work on this. So we look forward to catching up as soon as possible, and I hope to schedule a meeting within the week so we can all get together. We are subject to the open meeting law, so we need to post 40 hours in advance. So you'll be hearing from me very, very shortly. And again, I can't thank you all enough for your willingness to serve. And I know the town thanks you as well. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank
Okay. Thank you. You guys can all leave now.
you. We're now on Twitter.
Thank you very much.
A question for you.
Certainly.
We did a really great job, or I've heard a lot of good things about the communication and the updates as we were coming up to approving this. So I'm hoping out of one of your early meetings you'll have some sort of a schedule or information about how you're going to communicate out so that we can keep the community on board and informed as excited as they have been about approving the project.
Absolutely, Ms. Picard. I think, as soon as we get organized as a committee and elect a chair and a vice chair and talk about what will those strategies be to keep people updated, I'm sure we'll have a lot of posting on our website. And, I'm not really a Twitter, Snap, Face chat guy, but I'm sure we can figure
Good.
something out along
We're
those
also
lines.
going to add a new feature to the nightly news called the K Corner, which
Excellent.
will be an update every month on where we stand.
Terrific, thank
Yeah.
you.
No, it's exciting. So I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the public has been very supportive of this, and they need to be included in every step along the way as well. So, okay, student report. Ms. Courtney.
Hi. So, a few things about our school going on is that the sophomores just finished up taking their math MCAS, and for me as a senior, there's nothing much going on. I got 1 week left. Today was senior skip day. Had a lot of fun.
Wait, you're here
On senior skip day. Yeah, that's how committed I am, guys.
We
Where's Cole?
Courtney,
Where's his name?
you are committed.
Courtney.
And I just want to say, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to come here and report on the student events and concerns for the past 2 years. And I wouldn't have wanted another job on a Thursday night. Yeah.
You've been awesome. It's been
Thank
great
you
to,
so
great to
much.
have you doing this. So we have one more meeting. You will be at June 1st? No?
I believe this is the last meeting I'll be at.
Well, we'll have to get back to you then.
All right.
No, it has been an absolute pleasure, and your commitment to coming here and giving us updates is much appreciated.
Thank you so
No
much.
question about it.
What does next year stand for you, Courtney?
I'm going to UMass Boston Bio Pre-Med.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Way to
Thank
go.
you.
Way to go.
Congrats, Courtney.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you for all your work coming here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for all your work as a student activist and leader at North Andover High School.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the committee really understands how active and engaged you've been in trying to make North Andover High School a better, more supportive and welcoming space. So thank you.
We
Thank
can
you.
tell, though.
Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you. Have a nice night, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. All right, next order of business is approval of minutes. Any questions, edits, concerns about the minutes as they're presented in the packet?
I move that we accept the minutes as presented in the packet.
Second?
Motion made by Ms. Mably, seconded by Ms. Lynch. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0 vote. Thank you. We'll skip the chair's report. I think I've spoken enough about all the excitement from town meeting and the school building committee, so we will go right to the superintendent's report.
I have 2 things to report. I sent out an article to you that we will post online, but just really understanding the impact of the proposed healthcare reform in the Congress, that the Congress has approved, the House of Representatives specifically. I just want our committee to understand, and anyone else there watching, that the Medicaid funds, which were approved Tuesday night to become a revolving account for instructional supplies, are in peril in the Republican-approved change to the health care. As you know, we get reimbursed, and many schools around the nation get reimbursed when we provide medical-related supports for students on IEPs who are often also eligible for Medicaid, in our case, Mass Health. That money, as we've talked about a lot, is at least $250,000, if not more, to our schools. The current proposal that the House has put forward would actually create a block grant that would be substantially reduced to each state, and then the state would determine how to spend those much more limited funds. The concern around schools is that those funds would not be then used to reimburse schools, as there's going to be massive desires for those funds for lots of areas, including we'd be competing with doctors and healthcare providers and hospitals for those funds. So without this kind of direct resulting reimbursement for schools, there's a lot of concern among schools nationwide that this could have a significant impact on our funds. So I just want folks to know about that. We have been encouraged, if you so feel, to kind of contact and reach out to legislators about that. But it's a concern, and I don't want us to, such an excitement that funds have now been allocated. It would be difficult if those funds were then no longer available. So just something to think about. I want to make sure you're engaged and know about. And
you.
obviously, whatever work you all want to do on that, I just want to update you on that information.
I would think that our legislators are pretty good on this issue. I think anyone who lives in Maine or has a house in Maine maybe want to call Senator Collins' office. That might be our best hope to influence this process at this point.
Yeah, I will let you guys do that political influence part, but I want to educate you on the issue.
Thank you.
Okay? And then I have a really neat note that I received today that I thought I would read if it's okay with you. So this came to my office today, and it says thank you on it. And it says, North Andover Public Schools, I wanted to thank you for being my guidance and stepping stones to my future success. I will forever be thankful to every teacher and faculty member who not only believed in me, but helped me believe in myself. I can truly say that NAPS has played a major factor in shaping my personality. There are not enough words or minutes in a day where I could thank all the people who have impacted me positively in our school district. I will always remember my schooling and lessons learned here. This is also a reminder to the entire faculty and staff, you have made a positive influence in someone's life, if not many lives. And this is a graduating senior who wrote this to us, Haley Atkinson. And she said, P.S., sorry to my English teachers. Grammar and spelling may be rough, but at least I got some voice.
Beautiful.
That's nice.
Isn't that nice?
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
thank you for sharing.
There you
That's
go.
what makes it all worthwhile.
It does. And the fact that a graduating senior took the time to write us a
Right.
note is just so nice.
Well, and I would give some kudos back to the parents for
Teaching about writing thank you notes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't tweet it out too.
Very
Anyways,
nice.
Just thought I'd.
Thanks. Thank you for sharing.
Mr. Gilligan got one personally because he was her principal.
Okay, old business, second reading, approval increase in FY17 revolving account budgets. Mr. Mealy?
It remains the same as at the first reading. This is for the end of year, based on what we now know as opposed to what we anticipate 6 months before the year even starts when we put together a revolving account. So it's based on actual activity, revenue came in, and the expenses that revenue is going to cover. So we just need the school committee to approve these increases in order to pay those expenses. But they're all covered by increased revenues.
And it's just the increase of the recommended action, the 195,095?
For community programs,
the 100
$100,000 for transportation revolving account, and $60,000 to food services.
And we can take that all as one motion?
Yes.
Love-
so moved.
Second.
It's moved by Ms. Picard, seconded by Ms. Mabley to approve an increase of $195,095 to the FY17 Community Programs Revolving Account budget, $100,000 to the Transportation Revolving Account budget, and $60,000 to the Food Services Revolving Account budget in the budget line items as listed. Okay, motion second. Any further discussion? All in
Just think
favor?
This is exciting to see, that's all.
Ms. Mabley says it's exciting to see.
Yes, she did.
Okay.
Wise guy.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0 vote as well. Okay, second reading approval of Hall of Fame criteria. Ms. Mabley, I know you spent a lot of time on this, and I think I speak for the entire committee to say thank you for this.
You thanked me, and I'm grateful that you thanked me. Very nice. No, so that you can see the two remaining. No, but I mean, you guys know I'm thankful. Yes.
Great
No.
feeling collaboration in the room.
Yes, that's right. No, you've been very thankful, and I appreciate that. It's
Sort of interesting tonight.
I know, I'm sorry.
it's making me look more fabulous than is
It is.
needed.
We're
right?
thanking. We're thankful.
Just did what I needed to do. So, yes, the last changes we discussed are noted here in red. That we added April 1st is when the nominations can open, and we changed the select no more than 2 award recipients per year instead of 3. And then the overarching other change was selection committee instead of subcommittee. I was hoping Mr. McDevitt was going to be here. That's kind of why we were stalling before, since he has the most experience actually acting as the vice chair handling this. But I'm assuming I haven't heard any more from him, so I think he's all right with this.
Okay. All right. I think, it's great. This is exactly what we talked about last time. I know for one, I'm ready to approve this so we can get rolling on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to make a motion to accept your work, Ms. Mably?
I move that we accept the North Andover Public Schools Education Hall of Fame criteria and process as written here, updated.
Motion made by Ms. Mably, seconded by Ms. Lynch to approve the North Andover Public School Educator Hall of Fame policy as it's presented in the packet. All those in, I'm sorry, further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's a 4-0 vote as well. Okay, moving along. Superintendent evaluation process. This is something we do every year, obviously. And this is not even a first reading of it, right? This is
No,
not,
this
this
is
is just
just
a,
discussing
the
the
discussion,
process.
discussing the process.
And I have just to start in terms of the draft that I presented to you, this is very much just a draft of the evidence that I'm gathering. As you'll see, for instance, under the human resources, I say forthcoming because Carrie Wahlberg has been immersed in hiring processes and for me to end some other issues. For me to ask her to get this together, I think I would have sent her over the edge, so it will be coming. But this was what I have prepared, and so what I wanted to talk through was just the process and what else you need from me. Because just for those of you too who are new, that it's an interesting process. It's obviously all played out in public, and the way it works is there's basically two main areas that you evaluate me on. The first is progress towards my goals. So this document very much, I hope, outlines progress towards my, and in some cases, our goals. If you remember the school committee, and for those of you who are new, we adopted two of my goals as our goals, and those were two strategic objectives around class size and resources. And we felt like that made a lot more sense than you having a set of goals and me having a set of goals, especially because these were very, we needed to work on them together this year, as demonstrated by town meeting on Tuesday night. So this is progress towards my goals. Bev also, I believe, sent you the superintendent's rubric that you have to then fill out. Did she do that?
I don't think so yet.
So there's a superintendent's rubric that I'll have her send you quickly. It's no different than last year. She just actually made it a Google form so you can fill it out. But there's a whole bunch of standards that I am judged on, and they mostly focus on my leadership, instructional leadership, my kind of presence in the community. And so it gets hard, I will tell you. I think it's fair, I don't want to speak, but it gets hard to talk about some of them because you don't necessarily feel that you see me in that role. And so one of the things that is important is for you guys to have a discussion about how much are we really going to focus on Jen and her goals, and how much are we going to focus on filling out this rubric, some of which we don't see.
Where did the rubric come from?
It's the state. It's the state rubric that you have to use use. And it gets a little hard. I'm sorry, I can bring it up if it's helpful. You can go online.
That's all right.
and
No, that's
read
fine.
it,
That's fine.
but-
That's fine. We have plenty of time
okay.
to figure it out.
Yeah, but it's important, and I will have her, but I just want you guys to think about, like, what else might be helpful. I know that, some committees have chosen to say, like, we're going to do the rubric, but the real focus is going to be the goals. Others have asked, I have some colleagues who the school committee has asked them to prepare evidence for every element on the rubric, which would then mean that's what I'm doing for the next month.
Right.
And that is more like me trying to. So I just want you to think about where you stand as a committee on this so that I can get you what you need to be able to appropriately evaluate me. And again, it's all over the place in terms of where committees feel they want to be. But I think it's like 32 elements or something that I'm, right? I can't remember. It's some big number.
Right. It's if you've ever evaluated anybody in any other position, it's similar to those kinds of things. Like meets expectations, exceeds, working towards, things like that. And you decide on all these things.
Right.
It's over the phone,
Yeah. We did it last year. So it's, and so we'll send it out, but I just want you to start thinking about what you need from me.
I personally didn't find it as helpful as I'm sure the people down in Malden find it, but as two new members, I would say you probably don't have. I would normally say you wouldn't have the not necessarily experience, but the perspective to do it all. But both of you have done so much for the community in the schools prior to your election that you probably could evaluate her as well as we could. you know, in that sense. So we'll get that rubric out. I expect that we'll have those, you know, finished by the end of June.
Yeah, and you just need to let me know what else you need from me. If it's beyond the goals reporting out. If anything, I know it's tricky.
Yeah, I had a hard time doing it last year.
it is. It is. I don't find it very conducive to really, you know, giving a strong evaluation
Right.
myself.
And I didn't find it difficult because of Jen's performance, Dr. Price's performance, or anything like that. It's just the terminology is awkward
Yeah.
of the criteria, so it's strange.
It didn't say wicked awesome in there at all. Not
No,
once.
right. Actually, on the flip side, though, Dr. Price, if there's anything that you wanted our feedback on that personally that you want that's not already covered, let us know as well. You know, if you'd like to hear about anything in particular from our
And, you know,
perspective.
I will say that some, I was talking to my colleagues about this, some committees actually appoint a subcommittee that meets with the superintendent to have a conversation. So that might be something you guys want to think about too, because that sometimes can lead to a more authentic conversation around, you know, feedback and gathering information. So that's another way to do it, is to have, you know, two of you come and meet with me as we go over it and understand it. So it's another option. I haven't really found an option that seems to make everyone happy, but I have been asking around.
And are we limited to the rubric, or can you supplement it?
With comments?
Yes.
Yes, you can supplement it with comments.
Each section has a comment section.
Is there any interest in taking up the superintendent or offer to have a subcommittee to meet with her and talk about the evaluation process? Or do you feel pretty comfortable the way?
I'd like to see the rubric first.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, we can do that. Bless you, Mr. Gillen. Thank you. So we'll get that out.
Yep, we'll get the rubric, and then maybe at the June 1st, we can at least come up with the process and any other additional information you need from me.
That sound fair to members?
Is,
So
Good, sure.
If we have two people, it's not an official subcommittee.
It's an official, it's a subcommittee, but it is not, have to
public
be
meeting
a
law.
public meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
is
so-
June 1st too far out? It seems like,
I'll
Two
get
weeks
you the
away.
rubric.
Right, so-
Yeah, we'll get the rubric
so
by
we-
next week easily, but.
and decide maybe in the
Yeah.
interim how, if we want to do this idea of a committee or anything like that. Because if we wait till June, then we're really up against that June 30th. Doesn't it have to be all
Well, it
sorted
doesn't
out
have to
by
be-
then or something?
I don't think it's a hard date. I'd like to get it done by June 30th, but, you know, I think with the next order of business, you can tell that we feel pretty good about things.
Right, well, that's why, yeah, okay. That's why I don't think we need to, if we decide to have this committee, can't we just do it all? And then in June 1st, we're ready to move ahead already, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, to Ms. Litch's point, let's
See
get
the
the rubric
rubric
out
first.
and
Okay.
let them see it and, you know, let them digest it for a few days and see how they want to proceed. I know Andrew's done this 1,000 times already, so. Okay, we're good with
Yep.
that for now?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, next order of business is superintendent's contract, and, you know, coincidentally, I don't know, I came across this article, online, I think it's just, WBUR, talking about, did you see this article?
I
65 openings.
Lot openings. But honestly, I'll just read the first paragraph. School districts throughout the state are dealing with a crisis. There just aren't enough qualified superintendents to fill all of the open positions. You know, it goes on. There's 275 superintendents in Massachusetts, and every year there's turnover. There's some 60 odd on average every year. So I think, you know, personally, my motivation to get on the school committee a couple years ago was when I read, you know, that our former superintendent was leaving. And actually, my first interest was to get on the superintendent search committee, and then I think a couple of days later, a school committee member resigned. And that's what motivated me to try to get on board, because my experience in this town, we had such incredible turnover in this superintendent's position. I think, you know, I was first elected office in '96, and I think between '96 and 2013, we had 8 different superintendents, and some interims as well. So it was definitely a frustrating point for me, and especially as someone who was about to have a couple kids enter the school system. It was my motivating factor to get on. So I know our 2 newest members served on the search committee that brought in Dr. Price, and kudos, obviously, for you two for choosing the right person, or giving us the right person to choose from. But our next order of business obviously is the superintendent's contract, which myself and Mr. McDevitt, who could not be here tonight, and I'm going to read his email in a second. But I wanted to say Andrew was the chair when we hired Dr. Price and put a lot of time and effort into getting to know her, getting recommendations from people down in Newton. Felt very strongly that she was the right person to lead the district. And I think all of us on this here on this board, but throughout the town, have come to realize that how fortunate and how insightful Mr. McDevitt's leadership was in bringing you on board. So I just want to. He felt really awful that he couldn't be here tonight. I scheduled it for tonight because I knew he was away last week. I didn't realize he was away this week too. But let me just read this real quickly. David, you can state that I'm attending a work conference today and that I'm very comfortable with the committee proceeding with Jen's contract. While I'm disappointed to not be present to vote, I am very much looking forward to working with Dr. Price throughout her next contract and look forward to her continued successes here in North Andover. I know if he was here tonight, he'd say a lot more than that, to say the least. So he helped negotiate this contract with myself and Dr. Price and feels very strongly about it. I know everyone in the board has seen it, but for the edification of the public and those watching, it is a 5-year contract that Dr. Price has agreed to sign. Her first contract was a 3-year contract that was set to expire next June 30th. So we felt it was important to renegotiate now, especially when we're taking on such a big project, and her leadership in getting this project off the ground through all the public meetings and finally with a unanimous vote on Tuesday speaks volumes to your leadership here. So I know I am very happy that you've agreed to stay in North Andover. With that being said, let's put a motion on the table first to approve the contract, and then we'll have discussion. How's that sound?
I move we approve the contract.
Ms. Picard moves that we approve the superintendent's employment contract from July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2022. Second by Ms. Lynch. Further discussion. Madam Vice Chair, would like to?
I am very excited about this contract and appreciate the work that 3 of you did to come to this agreement. It's horrifying a little bit to hear about that window of 8, that number of years, 8 superintendents. That's definitely not the direction anybody would want to be going in. And so in your short time, you've stirred up a lot of action. Thank goodness. I'm very grateful for that and look forward to the next 5 years of driving things forward. And so thank you for all you do.
Yeah, this is really exciting. Throughout the search process, we heard in our focus groups and in feedback, and certainly through the campaign process this year, people really want to have that continuity, that stability in this position. And they don't want just anybody in this position. They want the leadership and the qualities that you bring to this position. They really want Dr. Price in this position, so I'm really thrilled. Don't worry, we'll have bad things to say about you later.
We haven't went to the evaluation yet. Ms. Lynch?
I agree. I made it no secret during my campaign that one of my motivating reasons to run was to work with you and support you and keep you here. So I'm glad that one of my first acts here is to be part of the 5-year renegotiation contract to approve that. I think you've done so many great things already, and I'm so excited for our children's futures. So thank you.
I'm as well. Before the meeting, I'm sure some of you saw me. I was being interviewed by a Kittredge third grader for a project, and he was asking me, "So what do you like about your job? What do you guys do?" And I honestly said, because of the superintendent and her leadership team, it makes my job a lot easier. I've been very proud to serve as the chair since last July, and I think with a different person, this job would have been a lot more difficult, and you made it really super easy. So, with that being said, we have a motion, a seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Is there a fancy pen?
Can we get a photo of the official signing? The official signing days, right?
You can sign first.
I will sign first.
I've learned.
Yeah, we need
Dave, we need you to sign.
Joyce and her big book.
Fine. You're right.
I got the first one
All right, to make sure.
a couple summers ago.
Congratulations.
Did you? Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
and it's flattering
Thank you.
too that you choose us,
Thank you.
That's,
you.
that's true.
that you choose North Andover.
Oh, it's been fun. Just
Do you
quickly.
want- Sure, please.
Yeah, you know, as I've said a number of times, I have an amazing team. I mean, the three people around this table make my job easier most days, harder some, but always better. And, you know, I feel so fortunate, as I've said, and have inherited two amazing assistant superintendents who I think in many cases really kept this place steady and running through a variety of superintendents. And, you know, they are the backbone of this town, both Gilly and Jim. And, you know, I think they have supported me in really meaningful ways. And I just so appreciate them. And I really relish the opportunity to learn from them. And I think it's been great that we've been able to bring Donna on to really kind of come up with this vision of student services and really think about how we can support all kids, which, as you know, is a huge part of my core values. So feel very lucky to work with an amazing team. And on top of that, I think it's really exciting for North Andover to have a superintendent sign a second contract. And I think, you know, as I've often said, you know, the stability is one thing, and I sort of joke with my leadership team. I said, so I can just sit here and do nothing, right? You know, which I hope you know it was not possible for me. But really, this idea of stability, and I hope that the stability also comes with this action and vision that we are creating for the district. And the last thing I would say is I feel so fortunate to have an amazing school committee. You know, you guys have really rolled up your sleeves when necessary, backed off and given me a leash a little bit, you know, to kind of really do what I need to do for this district. I think the success that we had Tuesday night at town meeting is a direct result of us all working together. I feel, you know, that we're in that boat and we're all rowing oars together, and it's working, you know, and I think the town is seeing that. The town is trusting us as a result of that. And I think the town is excited about where we, and by we I mean everyone at this table, and the teachers and the faculty and staff and of the district are going. But, you know, I felt so good on Tuesday night, mostly because that all happened and we sat there signing diplomas.
Right.
Right? And so that means that people know us, trust us, and understand our vision. So that was a really exciting time for us, and it feels really good to kind of off of that to be able to sign a contract where we're making commitment to each other. So thank you.
Very good.
And I know, I'm sure Mr. Mailer at some point will tweet something out later on. He's a Twitter too. But watching you two guys work together is impressive. And for my 20-plus years of serving the town, I haven't seen it before. So I'm thrilled to be part of it.
And he signed a long contract too,
He
which
did.
I think is great. I think kind of the stability at both positions is important.
And I think we can have this up on the website probably tomorrow, Mr. Grant. Yeah. The contract. We post all the contracts, so just so the public can see it. And I have a copy for you in the back there. Okay. That's the press. Okay. So good. With that being said, Mr. Grant, would you like to come up and give us the technology update?
Sure. Are you going to take over, Mike?
Yeah, do you mind if I
Go.
grab your, I'm gonna grab the cable.
Before Mike starts, I think, you know, at what you're about to see is so exciting. You know, we got a preview of this morning, Amy and I did, in PTO co-presidents, and you know, Mike, in a short period of time, talk about a transformation. What I've been able to do in this district pales in comparison to what you've been able to do in this district.
I don't know about that.
It's really exciting to see a district that was once very much following the crowd, if not distantly behind the crowd, actually leading right now in terms of technology. And that's happened in such a short period of time. So just thank you. I think you guys will be blown away by what you're about to see and the work that Mike and his team have done.
All right. Thank you for the introduction, and congratulations, Dr. Price, on your new contract. I'm glad you're staying.
You're stuck with me now, Mike.
I know. No rest for the weary here. So I'm just going to give a quick update on where we are with technology and where we're going moving forward. So the first thing I just wanted to highlight is the tech support. And we did a survey just recently. We got about 252 staff members respond to the survey. Throughout this brief presentation. There are some statistics based on that survey, and I'll show you the survey at the end. I'm not going to get into it. Gets a little wonky at some points. But there are some takeaways at the end that I can highlight as we wrap up. So we created this year alone, since September 1st, over 2,000 tickets. But I wanted to highlight that those tickets are really focused on supporting teachers and not so much problems with the technology. So a lot of tickets end up, you think tickets, it's because like something's broken. Everything's working actually very well. It's working so well that teachers are actually using it and then requesting help. And that's where a lot of the tickets are coming from. It's just teachers asking for assistance, and my staff is both repairing and doing some of the other technical piece, but they're helping teachers in the classroom.
Are any of the tickets for learning additional things?
Oh, yeah. So the teachers will find something and they'll say, can you help me figure this out? And they'll submit a ticket, and we encourage that so that we can have them use the devices that we're supplying.
Are you okay? We can just interrupt you?
Yeah, sure.
Questions will go along? Okay.
Yeah,
Great,
I
that's
should
fine.
have said that at the
That's
beginning.
fine. Good.
So the staff are actually highly satisfied with the level of service. Based on the survey, 96.8% are strongly agree that the technical support that we provide on a daily basis is good.
I
So-
will say Ryan Landry, the co-president of the union, stopped me today, and he said, Jen, do you really understand how much the teachers appreciate you and your staff, and how responsive you are, and how that allows them to use technology? And he wanted me to make a point of that tonight, so
Right.
I'm
Well,
pointing that out.
Thank you. Appreciate the feedback. So the next slide is Google and Chromebooks. So where we are with Chromebooks, we currently have about 1,600 student and staff Chromebooks. Most of them are students. We have a limited number of staff. We plan to add about 400 this summer. I would like to add more, and that will depend on the money that we end up getting back from the PTOs with the model classroom. So the fundraising that they do will go towards the additional Chromebooks, because we're covering the complete cost of the model classroom updates, and that'll be in the next slide. I'll show you that in a second. We have over 5,000 accounts that we manage, 250 active Google Classrooms, and Google Classroom is the learning management system that teachers use to disseminate homework to students, interact with students. It's that, I'm sure you've probably heard of it. And it is one of the most requested professional development pieces that they requested in the survey, is more teachers want to use Google Classroom, and they want some PD around that. The real exciting part is the 93.8% active, 7-day active Chromebook. And what that means is within a 7-day period, 93.8% of our Chromebooks are being used. And it's not, I looked at the data, and it's not because of MCAS, because we've been doing the computer-based testing. It's been fairly consistent, above 90% all year long. So what it tells me is that we still need some more devices to be able to sustain and manage the demand.
And that means students using Chromebooks, not teacher.
Correct. Yep.
Mr. Grant, 1,600 currently, 2 years ago today, how many Chromebooks were in this district?
Maybe 100 at the most. And those were at the middle school. They had purchased some at some point, but over the past 2 years, this past year alone, we added about 700 Chromebooks, and we added more during the year when we got the money back from some of the PTO fundraising.
And our thought on the Chromebooks is two things. We think about a 2-to-1 ratio is going to be where we need to be, 2 students for every device. The great thing about the Chromebooks is we can track their activity, so that as we think about the supply and demand, thinking about where we're going to meet the equilibrium, we will know. Many of these Chromebooks, they're in a cart of 24. You know, the ones on the bottom aren't getting used because of class. Well, they're in a cart of 30.
Right.
You know, the 28th and 29th are not being used. So we do not feel that we have hit saturation yet.
Right. Yeah. So some of the Chromebooks, if it's like Dr. Price said, if it's in a cart of 30 Chromebooks and you get 27 kids using them regularly, the 3 at the bottom or the 3 at the end are not getting used on a regular basis. So those represent a lot of the ones that aren't being used. Model classroom. So this summer we will be completing about 47 model classrooms, which will bring. Last year we did about little over 50, so almost 100 model classrooms with the short throw projectors will have been installed. The vast majority of those have gone to classrooms that had nothing before, so just a portable projector sitting on a cart. It doesn't represent all the classrooms because a number of the classrooms already had mounted projectors, some smart boards, and we're not pulling any old equipment out until we have to. So we're updating and making sure that every classroom has a mounted projector, the wireless capability, and a document camera that they can use in the classroom. The high school, we're going to be replacing 30 this summer, and then probably another 30 or so next summer, and those will just replace the ones that are ceiling mounted. The infrastructure is already there. It's just a matter of replacing the projector and running some new cable. They'll all have the model, the Google Chromecast, which is the wireless piece. I still like the wired. It's just more reliable. But the wireless is a convenience, and it's fairly inexpensive. They're $35 a piece. So it's not an expensive thing to add, and it's a nice thing to have in the classroom. So by September, we'll have about 130 model classrooms, counting the new ones at the high school. And moving forward, we'll just, as the old equipment dies, we just have a process of replacing it with the newer equipment.
So will we have any classrooms that aren't technologically?
The only
Equipped.
classrooms that we have not done in some of the buildings are the kindergarten classrooms because of the new kindergarten building. And then we're waiting to see what happens with those classrooms as we move forward. And also some of the related arts and some of the other classes. So like art classes we haven't addressed yet. But that comes later. We wanted to focus on making sure all the academic classrooms throughout the district, 1 through 12, English, math, all of the academic rooms have the equipment, and then we can start addressing all the others later.
But that does mean that any of the, we did have a number of mobile devices, so those have been moved to the related arts. So I would be surprised if there's a classroom starting next fall that didn't have access to a projector if they wanted one.
Yeah, I mean, with replacing all of these, a lot of them already had mobile ones, so we have a number of extra projectors that we'll just go through, find the best ones and replace the older ones with them. MCAS, so we're just finishing up. Tomorrow is the last day of regular testing for MCAS. So grades 3 through 8, we made a decision in the fall to test every student 3 through 8, ELA and math, and the reasoning behind it was to make sure that the teachers had the experience with the new software, because moving forward, the state is going to be requiring us to use the computer-based testing.
Can I just clarify that? We made a decision to test every student 3 through 8 on the computer. We would have had to test them either way. We didn't increase testing in the district. We just made a decision that because we're moving towards computer-based testing, and this year as a district we are being held harmless, that this was a great year to just give it a shot, and we did.
So we
Yep.
tested 2,236 kids on computer.
Yeah. And we had the equipment, we had the infrastructure, and it made sense to just bite the bullet and do it this year and move forward. So we've provided the staff with the technical support and the training that they need. And we also created, you're not going to be able to read this, but we have some documents that we created. The state was a little late coming out with some of the documentation needed, so we were trying to train the staff. We created our own multi-page documents that are specifically for the test administrator, which is the teacher, and the test coordinator, which is the principal. So they have different roles and different responsibilities. But this walks them through step by step exactly what they need to do. We actually identified issues with the test and the testing manuals that the state put out, and the state actually had to correct some of their manuals because they were wrong. So by going through this process, we were able to identify issues for the state and then help them clean up some of their documentation. I feel it went extremely well. There were small glitches here and there with a kid's laptop that maybe the battery ran out. We just swap it with a new one. They log in and it's fine. So there were very minor issues, and the teachers were apprehensive at the very beginning. But after we went through the infrastructure trial and the testing, and then we started it, like this morning, Kittredge did grade 4 math, and I was covering Kittredge, but I stayed here, and the teachers and the principal took care of everything over at Kittredge. I wasn't involved at all. So the goal is next year that they don't require us as a technical support. They now have the tools to be able to go through and do this on their own. So they can shorten the window next year. We'll have more devices, and they can do them simultaneously, because we had to schedule my staff to be able to be in each building. We can now cover probably a couple of buildings without having a physical person there. It's gone that well.
Mr. Gilligan, you want to just talk about how much this has been appreciated by our staff?
It's tremendous appreciation and kudos to Mike and his staff. We started meeting on this in September, as I was concerned how we're going to test 2,236 kids with the small support staff Mike has. And Mike and his team have made it happen. And it truly went off without a hitch. And they have been there to support teachers and get them through this and hold their hands to help get through this first part. Because, you know, as educators, we always get nervous around MCAS. There's all sorts of rules around MCAS in the papers. And in fact, as stressful as this was, you know what principals are now saying? They were nervous at first, but now principals say, this was great. We didn't have to deal with all those papers this year because you'd have to count every book. So
The locked room and all that.
the magnitude of what the tech department accomplished in combination with the teachers, I mean, it can't be understated. I talk to people all over the state weekly, meeting different folks in different groups, and most districts only did the 4th and 8th grade on the computer, and that was what was required to, the state required all districts to do 4th and 8th, and we did them all. And I think Mike was even a little nervous at first. We were both. And once we got going, they did a great job. And the state did not get out information in a timely manner. A lot of the information didn't come out until late January, early February. Some of the stuff even came in March. So they were behind schedule, and these guys did it. So really proud of them.
And it's exciting we had the devices to do it. A lot of
Yes.
districts did not have enough devices to test all their students 3 through 8. And some districts actually had to ask for a waiver for 4 through 8 because they didn't have enough devices. So again, we went from trailing to leading, and here's just an example of that.
I mean, I told Dr. Price tonight, I had one more thing at dinner. We went to dinner before this. When I left Thompson in 2012, it was a school of maybe 340, 350 at the time. And we could not cobble together 24 working laptops in the whole building. So, you know, in this short amount of time, to be able to test 2,236 kids, if you told me this 2 years ago, I'd say it's not possible. It's really remarkable.
Thank you.
Since you left, it got a lot better.
Yes.
Any other questions on MCAS? All right, so tomorrow will be done. It's just makeups, any students that were absent needed to make it up, but those go very, very smoothly. The next one is the secure print solution. This was a little controversial at the beginning. So we instituted a new software solution to be able to manage our printing. And previously, if I wanted to print something, I would pick the printer and it would print out and I would just go get it. But now the new system, you print to one print server and then you can go to any printer, any copier in the district, even town hall, police, fire, put in your PIN code and retrieve your print job. Teachers can print from home. It's sitting there at school waiting for them in the morning when they get in, and they can print their jobs in the morning. So it provides a different solution than what they're used to. There was a little bit of apprehension that they thought we were tracking what they were printing. We're not. I mean, we could if we wanted to, but it's not something that we're focused on. We're focused on trying to save paper, make things a little bit easier, and just provide some convenience for staff. And also the secure part of it is nice because we have special ed teachers that need to print IEPs and some personal documents that shouldn't be sent to a printer and then somebody picks up by accident that's mixed in with test papers and then gets passed out. Yeah. So the ability to be able to just go to the printer, print out what you want, and then take it and not have to worry about it, like running down to get it and having it disappear. So one statistic that I just printed up here is we can track if I printed something before, it would just get printed out no matter what. And if I didn't go pick it up, it would sit there and somebody would throw it in the recycle bin. So since January 1st, when we started the process, we've saved 60,000 pages, and that's just in jobs that people printed but never picked up. So that's not counting other cost-saving issues. That's just, if I printed something and I figured, oh, you know what, I don't want that. And
so just to clarify, so you print it, but it doesn't actually, you put it in the queue to print, but you never actually send it all the way.
You never went to get it and printed it off. So you thought you wanted it, but then you decided later you didn't want it.
It was
So
on some printer that you didn't know where it was, so you printed it again somewhere else.
And that happens before
Yeah.
too. So this system will solve that problem, where you print something, you go to get it, you don't realize you've printed that 300 pages at another printer, you go back and print it again. So those 300 pages end up in the recycle
Or
bin.
you have a document that you think is done, and you hit print, and then you realize you needed to change something, so then you hit print again, and then you go and delete the first and only hit the second.
So,
Not that that happens often to me.
so it's actually been pretty successful, and
Awesome.
given the apprehension at the beginning, part of the survey, we asked them what they thought of this new system, and about 3/4 agree or strongly agree that it was a successful rollout. So you're going to still get teachers that, I don't like putting my pin in. But overall, I think it's been a really positive experience for staff.
Great.
So any questions on the printing? So what we're planning on doing, so we're going to update this summer Franklin, Sargent, and Thompson with new switches. The equipment will be replaced, and we're also going to be doing central office within a week or two. So we have the equipment, we're just getting it ready to be installed. We're going to be doing new Wi-Fi at Franklin, taking the old Wi-Fi and using that in some of the other buildings. Those are just the access points that are sitting on the ceiling, and we can reuse those. So at the middle school, because they have a lot of Chromebooks, they require more Wi-Fi access points. So we're going to just take those and reallocate them. And then this summer, we're going to start the process of looking at the elementary buildings to see about replacing the wiring for the Wi-Fi access points. Because currently, the elementary schools have old wires, and I know it sounds weird that they're old, but their capability is, they're only able to handle 100 megabits per second, which it's fairly slow. The newer stuff can handle a gig. So right now, in the elementary buildings, the biggest roadblock